In my early life, as I was growing up, the two most influential people for me were both my parents, my mom and my dad, because I can look back and see how I came to understand who God is in my life through my relationships with each of my parents in different ways. For my mom, I experienced unconditional love. I experienced a passion for justice and speaking up for those who might not have a voice. And through my dad, he was a pastor also, but his influence on me wasn't through like the official job of being a pastor. His influence was on the person that he is as a pastor, that I could see that this was his calling in life and how he lived out his calling each and every day, no matter where he was, no matter who he was with. And so as I look back, I can see God influencing me and shaping me to the person I am this day from a very early stage in my life through how God was presented through my parents. My path to becoming a pastor pretty much started in high school, around this time in life when friends are having conversations about what they're going to do after graduation. If they're going to college, maybe what are they going to major in? If they are not going to college and entering the workforce, maybe what sort of job that they would be looking for. But for me in those conversations, I could never answer that question for myself. I knew that I was a people person and I liked coaching and mentoring, so I thought about being a high school teacher and getting into coaching also. And then one morning, as I was on my paper route delivering newspapers in the dark and all by myself, I didn't realize that I was always praying while I was doing that. I was having these conversations with God on my paper route and not even realizing that that was prayer. I talked to God about how I was going through a rough time, that I had been an athlete and got injured, and couldn't do that anymore, and realized that I had a label in society based on that, at least one label, and people started treating me differently than I had been experienced before. And I was complaining to God and saying how much this is awful for me. And then I heard back in that conversation, yeah, that's really bad, isn't it, Kevin? And do you ever do that to others? Do you ever treat them according to some label? And I was hit. It got me. Yeah, I guess I do. And so I heard in that a call to live out not any label that society gives us, but to live my identity as a child of God, and to see everyone not as a label, but as a child of God, and to do my best to coach and mentor others to live as a child of God and to treat each other as a child of God. And so that was the beginning of my sense of call to be a pastor. And interestingly enough, once I finally shared the courage that I was thinking about this call with my father, him being a pastor, I thought he'd be really excited, but he was rather reserved in his reaction, just saying, well, if you end up finding anything else that is a passion of yours that you can pursue and be happy in life, pursue it. And if not, then maybe that is your call. And so I went off to college with an education minor, thinking that I'm going to have a plan B and a fallback plan if this whole pastor thing, if there's any way that I can wiggle out of it, I would. Not just because of my father's advice, but I just felt like I'm not the kind of person that should be a pastor. So I actually spent a couple years after this call of doing my best, of acting out and trying to prove to God, look, you got the wrong guy. But then I realized I wasn't going to win that battle. God was going to be there every step of the way and not give up on me. And I figured, okay, this is futile. This is something that I can do. And I spent a summer as a camp counselor at our church camp where I had been a camper myself. And I got to experience every day living in a community where we emphasized living as a child of God, and I got to experience myself mentoring and coaching others to live as children of God. And I went back to college and I dropped my education minor. I thought, I don't need a safety net, I don't need a plan B. This is who I am, this is who God is forming me to be, and I embraced it wholeheartedly after that.